Hey there. It's a bit of a different setup, but we're trying something new. I've been struggling to find the motivation to make anything lately. So I started digging through my old hard drives and editing old photos, and that's when a semi-decent idea hit me. In these times of social distancing and limited movement, I thought it might be nice to take a step back from our isolation and escape from our quarantine through photos. Now, usually the stuff you see on my Instagram is just one frame out of hundreds, if not thousands, of images. You only ever get to see a fraction of what I actually shoot, and I never really do end up doing anything with most of the other images. So hopefully this can become a series that lets you see into my weird creative process and maybe lets you see a not-so-dreary side of the world for at least a little bit. So, with that being said, we're going to start with a really recent set. About a week ago, my sister Linda graduated from UW-Madison. And obviously, it didn't work out the way we expected it or wanted it to, but to be fair, it went about as well as a virtual ceremony could go. We've been back in Milwaukee with our parents since the start of spring break, but we had to make a trip back to Madison last Saturday to return books and start moving Linda out of the apartment. Saturday just so happened to be the day that virtual commencement happened, so I forced Linda to take her cap and gown with us, and we did a bit of shooting once we were done moving stuff out of the apartment. We're not going to start there, though. We're going to hop back 4 years ago, back to the old high school days, to look at the senior portraits I also shot for her, way back in the day. Alright, enough of my face for now. Let's roast these photos. Alright, Linda might actually kill me for showing you guys these, but it's all in showing growth, both on her end and my end. So this is, let me give you an accurate date. Let's take a look at the metadata. 2015. That's 4 years and some change right about now. We're getting old. We're getting really old. And that's terrifying. So we're just going to zip through these in no particular order. Make fun. We're going to make fun of them along the way, is what I was going to say. As you can see, I was really drawn to light, and I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, if I'm being completely honest. Kind of a cool photo. This was at Seven Bridges, here at home in Milwaukee. I went with the most generic spot because I didn't go many places back in high school, so I didn't know any cool spots. But you can't go wrong with a pretty park like Seven Bridges. I don't know what I was doing here. If you look at like the horizon, it looks like the world is falling. I don't know, maybe I was going for some drama. Let's see, some rocks. I always do this when I shoot. I tend to like shoot random things that I see. I don't know, maybe that's unprofessional. I don't actually mind this one. This isn't too bad. These were all shot on my dad's, what is that, NX1000. It's a Samsung mirrorless camera. I think it came with a 20 to 50 millimeter kit lens. It's a pretty versatile lens. Looking back, this might be the best photo from the set, if I'm being completely honest. This one is my attempt at being edgy. I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is one area I've always been weak at, especially back then. I didn't know how to, and I still don't know how to direct people. It's such a weird thing. Like, do this, do that. I don't know. I can almost guarantee you in this photo I told Linda to look off into the distance meaningfully, whatever that means. Kind of interesting stuff, but not anything usable for a senior photo. I really do like the light here. I was a bit of a fool back then, and I only shot in JPEG. But to be fair, I couldn't edit RAW. My computer just couldn't handle it. We're coming up on the photo she used for her graduation. This is it right here. I don't like this photo at all. I can tell you all of the problems right now. We're going to start right here. It's not even in focus. It's shaky. Nothing is sharp about it, and I really question my decision here because I think there was at least one decent photo back there, so I don't know. And I think what I used to edit was this program that came on my old laptop, Adobe Photoshop Express. And it was like the light version too, so I didn't have any access to brushes, I didn't have access to any of the pro features. So I think I just threw on one of their filters and messed with white balance and maybe some clarity. And that's all I had to work with back then, but from far away it looks okay. When I was looking through them a little while ago, I took the time to throw a little bit of an edit together. To be fair, this was done in like 5 minutes, so don't judge me too hard. This is straight out of camera. I'm gonna embarrass myself because I might even be inclined to say that the original edit that I did is better than my current edit. But we're gonna zoom past that and pretend that didn't happen. Let's see what else. Oh, Linda's really gonna kill me for showing you this one, but a beautiful image. I think if there's any photo from the set that really describes Linda's personality, it's probably this. But I'm not only exposing Linda here, I'm going to expose myself. Look at this greasy boy. This was my outfit to Linda's graduation. Yes, that is, what is that, like plaid and floral. But this was on her graduation day. My dad got really mad because I didn't shoot much, but we were in like the balcony and I was shooting with a really short lens and that wasn't going to work. This was my dad shooting. I didn't go to this. This was, MPS had a ceremony for all of the valedictorians, and Linda was a valedictorian. Yep, this is my dad here. I think I did these, yeah, when they came back from that. That was that, just a fun little look back in the past. But now we're gonna take a look at Linda's senior photo, and then we're gonna get to the fun stuff. So bear with me. All right, for this one, we're just going to cut to the chase. You don't need to see the whole set. I was just running around the entire day trying to play with some flash. I had my mom run around with a diffuser, and it was a fun time, but it was really cold out, so my mom got mad at me because we ended up using a photo from inside the house, and here it is. Here is straight out of camera. There you go. So you can see the evolution of my style. Now this would be, what, this is 2 months ago? No, that's wrong. Like maybe a month at most. Oh, and actually, here, one thing I'm most proud of. Sharp. Actually in focus. Right, let's move on to the really, really fun stuff. The actual graduation photos. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have already seen 3 of the photos in the set I'm about to show you here. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, at Freshman Brian. You get to see a lot more of my work, a lot of the random things I do. This one was really strange, for a variety of reasons. Again, this was the first time we were back in Madison since spring break started, which would have been around 2 months at that point. So it was weird, seeing the apartment one last time before going away for summer. Nothing had changed, it felt like, other than some of the food that had rotted in our fridge, which was really fun to throw away, as you can imagine. But I mean, other than that, we were walking around and all the graduates were out. Again, Saturday was the day that their virtual ceremony happened, and so many people were just out and about, families and their graduates taking photos. Photographers were out making their money. A lot of champagne out there. Graduates doing graduate things, and it was, dare I say, the most normal experience I've had during the pandemic. Campus was just filled with life again, and we tried to play it safe, kept the masks on, avoided large groups, all that fun stuff. But here we go. Let's just dive right into it. So we started the shoot off strong, right at the top of State Street. I wasn't about to walk any further down State because there were so many people, and I wasn't trying to, do that. So we moved further along. I think, this is Alumni Park. It's kind of ironic that I said that about State Street, because if you know anything about Madison, you know that on a nice day, and it was a really nice day this day, which was also why so many people were out. A lot of people like to go to the Union Terrace, which is where we went next. We stuck around Alumni Park for a bit though, so there weren't as many people. So yeah, I'm not a super huge fan of these, but they're all right for what they are. Love the COVID-19 safety signs. I just thought it was kind of funny. Just the sign, and then you got the people not obeying the sign. But I'm not here to judge. I usually don't like doing photos like this, but I was with my mom, and when my mom tells me to do something, I do it. Because, these photos were not necessarily for me. They're more for my parents. A quick aside for you. The only reason I really got into photography was my dad. Way back in the day when Linda and I were kids, he would carry a camera around everywhere. And he photographed absolutely everything we did from the time we were born to, I think, right around middle school. That's when kids usually, stop wanting to have their photos taken. We were no different. I had the privilege of scanning all those photos that he made 2 summers ago. And I can guarantee you that there's over 2,000 photos. And you gotta remember he was shooting film, so I had to scan in the actual prints. He had some negatives laying around, but not many. I would say that a lot of my philosophy behind photography kind of comes from him, just documenting these special moments and moments that you want to remember. Because, let's think about it. A photograph really is a single moment in time, a single frame in time that you freeze, you memorialize forever. It's a moment that will never be repeated in the exact same way, in the exact same time, ever again. And it's a pretty beautiful thing to me. And that's why I really love photography. But enough of the romanticism. Let's get back to this. As I was saying, I don't usually do photos like this because my philosophy is this, right? I know it's Lake Mendota, but to anyone looking at this, if you didn't know UW-Madison, there's a very little chance that you would think that this is Lake Mendota, because this is just a body of water. Yeah, I don't usually do photos like this, but when you're there, just make them, see what happens, right? You can't make up photos that you didn't make, right? So just make them. You have options in the end. I'm really bad at selecting photos. That's why I went through and edited like 60 out of the 100. But this is one of my favorite ones from the set, just because nice touch in the background with Bucky with a mask. And that struck an interesting conversation between Linda and I. My mom kept saying, take off the mask. And we did a few mask off photos. But I think what separates this set from all other sets of photos is the mask, is the fact that these were made during a pandemic, right? How many other graduating classes will get to say, yeah, we graduated during a pandemic? I hope not many others after this. In fact, I hope none after this have to say that. But part of telling the story here, I think, is the mask. It is the social distancing. It is this unprecedented situation. So it does separate these photos from, let's say, the class of 2019, the class of 2018, That's what makes these photos special. That's what makes these different. And that's what I wanted to capture. So that maybe 10, 20 years down the road, Linda and, if she has kids or whatever, they can look back and say, yeah, I graduated during a pandemic. And you get that from the mask. I always like to keep in weird photos like this where her eyes are doing whatever they're doing. Linda is super hard to photograph because she has this really stoic face, and you gotta tell her 3 million jokes before she cracks a smile, and you better be ready, otherwise you're gonna miss it. The sun came out and it made everything so much better. Got some stuff with my mom and Linda in there. I still don't know how to pose people, so I told them to act naturally, and this is what they came up with. I guess that is pretty natural in some ways. And sometimes it isn't about getting those dramatic shots. At the end of the day, these are moments that you want to look back on. So that's why I think it's important to get those silly photos. It's my personal philosophy that I kind of learned from my dad. But back to here, these are some of my favorites in the set. You can see my style is now a lot cleaner. Again, sharp. That's the key here. And that's what I'm most proud of, is that I can actually focus now most of the time. I still kind of suck at that sometimes, but it's neither here nor there. Wanted to get in the signals. Wanted to get in the symbols and just kind of play with what was around us. These, I just saw bushes and I said, it's a pop of color, why not? This one, posted on my Instagram. I've always loved those types of photos that have something some kind of visual interest popping up from the bottom, just kind of framing it. Let's move forward a bit more. This is outside the red gym. I think this is my favorite. No, not this one. This one, because her hair is doing this. It's a little dynamic. I was shooting from below, so she looks really tall and powerful. She's actually, what is that? She's not even 5 feet tall. So visual tricks. Here goes some failed stuff that you're not going to see anywhere but here. Again, just playing around. Didn't like these, so I didn't bother editing them. What else? COVID-19 safety. Here you go. Another one of our favorite spots, right outside Memorial Union. a lot of late nights spent here, studying, eating Babcock ice cream, and eating way too much at Rathskeller. But here is another one of those types of photos where it's not necessarily like a pretty image, but it's just documenting what happened and kind of setting the scene. So this was the last location that I dragged Linda to for her graduation photos. And I didn't tell her at the time why I dragged her there. So if you're watching this, Linda, here's your explanation. Well, for starters, everyone seems to think that humanities is an ugly building, and I would say that it's just old. It has its charms, at least to me. To get away from crowds, get away from people, humanities is almost always a safe bet. It was pretty quiet, minus a few skaters here and there. But two, I don't know if she remembers this, but when I started at Madison, what was that, a year or two ago, as a freshman, I remember my first day, I was really nervous. I was like, what if I don't know which class to go to? What if I get lost, because it's my first time, like, really diving into a campus like this. It worked out such that Linda's classes were, what was that, I think at 11, and my first class happened to be, I think, at around 9, and she agreed to wake up early, and again, I'm lame and I'm a baby, so she was like, I can take you to class. And she walked me to humanities, which was where my first college course was. And right across from where she's sitting in this photo is the classroom. I think it's 2650. That's where I had my first class, which was journalism, and that kind of brought me into the major, and that's what I'm majoring in right now. Every step along the way thus far, Linda has given me so much support, even before college. You see, this whole photography thing wouldn't be a thing without her. One of the first supporters in absolutely everything I've done, artistically, academically, everything. So that's why I dragged you there, Linda. This spot has always it's always held a lot of sentimental value to me, because this really is where it all started. And so I thought it'd be a nice way to kind of close the story. But before I start crying, let's keep going through these photos. This is where the set gets a lot better, I think. But I'll zoom through these. I don't want to keep you too long. These are my favorite in the set. Humanities building has some amazing light, and if you're ever doing photos, very few people are going to be there. Head here, especially on a sunny day like this one, you're going to get some amazing light. This one is by far my favorite, I think, of the set. This one's a close second, this one right here. This one I did for my mom. I really wish I could have gotten more of the capital, but at least the photo is in focus and sharp, and I'm not jittering. And then this is a random black and white edit. I don't know about that. But I'll hop back to here, give you a before and after, just so you can see. That's kind of it. Thanks for sticking along. There's going to be more content like this. I'm really trying to work on speaking off the cuff. This is really hard for me. I do a lot of the uhs and a lot of the and stuff like that, and this is going to be my way to try to develop that, while also, taking you through some older content, because I don't have anything new to shoot, kind of. So yeah, thank you, and I'll catch you next time. See you soon.